Are you wearing pants or trousers right now? 99% of English learners fail to get a perfect score on this tricky American versus British quiz. Let's find out which one you really speak. 1. Which of these is the standard American English word for the British English flat? While condo and estate are types of housing, apartment is the direct American translation for the British word flat, which refers to a set of rooms forming an individual residence within a larger building. 2. If an American wants the thin, crispy potato snack that the British call crisps, what do they buy? In American English, these are called potato chips. In British English, chips refer to thick-cut fried potatoes, what Americans call French fries, and the thin snacks are crisps. 3. What is the standard American English equivalent of the British word lift? Elevator is the standard American term for the machine that carries people between floors. Lift is the British equivalent. Escalator refers specifically to moving stairs in both dialects. 4. An American walks on the sidewalk. What does a British person walk on? Pavement is the British term for the pedestrian path beside a road. In American English, pavement refers to the hard asphalt surface of the road itself, which can cause confusion. 5. If you are driving a lorry in the United Kingdom, what are you driving in the United States? Lorry is the British English term for a large, heavy motor vehicle used for transporting goods. The direct American equivalent is truck or semi-truck. 6. What is the typical American word for the sweet baked good that the British call a biscuit? In America, a cookie is a sweet, flat, baked treat. In the UK, this is called a biscuit. An American biscuit is actually a savory, flaky bread similar to a British scone. 7. The British go on holiday. What do Americans go on? Vacation is the standard American term for a period of time spent away from home or work for recreation. Holiday in the U.S. usually refers strictly to national or religious days of celebration. 8. Which of these words means sneakers in British English? Trainers is short for training shoes in the UK and is the direct equivalent of the American word sneakers. Cleats are studded shoes, and runners is more commonly used in Australian English. 9. What do Americans call the British bonnet of a car? Hood is the American term for the metal cover over the engine of a car. The British boot is the American trunk. 10. What is the British term for an American line of people waiting? Queue is the standard British noun for a line of people waiting their turn, and it is also used as a verb to queue up. Americans simply use line and wait in line. 11. Which of the following words is spelled using the standard British English format? British English retains the power ending for words derived from Old French, like favorite, color, and humor. American English drops the U to become favorite, color, and humor. 12. In American English, the purple vegetable is an eggplant. What is it called in British English? Aubergine is the British term borrowed from French. Eggplant is the American term. Courgette is the British word for the American zucchini? 13. How would a British person typically say they are visiting someone during the Saturday-Sunday break? At the weekend is the standard British English prepositional phrase American English speakers typically say on the weekend. 14. What is the American English equivalent of the British high street shop known as a chemist? Pharmacy or drugstore is the American equivalent of a chemist, which is where you go to pick up prescription medication and buy health supplies. 15. Choose the correct American English spelling from the options below. Theater ends in or in American English, whereas British English uses the ray ending like theater, analysis, and check are British spellings. And traveling has a double L in the UK but a single L in the US. 16. If an American man is wearing pants, what does a British person call them? Trousers is the standard British word for clothing worn from the waist to the ankles. In the UK, pants strictly refers to underwear, which can lead to funny misunderstandings. 17. What is the British English word for an American trash can? Rubbish bin, or simply bin, is the British equivalent. Rubbish is the British term for trash. Dumpster is an American trademark that became a generic term for a large outdoor container. 18. In the UK, you put a baby in a pram to take them for a walk. In the US, it is a stroller is the standard American term. Pram is a British abbreviation for perambulator. A cot in the UK is a baby bed, which Americans call a crib. 19. A plaster in British English is used to cover a small cut. What is the most common term in America? Band-Aid is a genericized trademark in American English used to describe a small adhesive bandage. The British use the word plaster, which in the US usually refers to wall material. Or a medical cast. 20. What do the British call the portable, battery-operated light that Americans call a flashlight? Torch is the British term for a flashlight. In American English, a torch almost exclusively refers to a burning stick of wood, like a tiki torch. 21. Which sentence represents a grammar standard typical in British English but extremely rare in American English? British English often treats collective nouns like team or government as plural entities, focusing on the individuals. American English almost strictly treats collective nouns as a singular unit. 22. What is the standard American English equivalent of the British past participle got? American English retained the older English form gotten for the past participle of get, as in I have gotten better. In British English, the past participle is simply got. 23. In British English, to table a motion means to introduce it for discussion right now. What does it mean in American English? This is a famous contronym. In the U.S. Parliament or boardrooms, tabling a motion means to put it aside and delay discussion. In the UK, it means to lay it on the table so it can be discussed immediately. 24. Which of these past tense verb forms is distinctly and primarily British English? British English frequently uses the T ending for the past tense of certain verbs like dreamt, leapt, and spelt. American English heavily prefers the regular ed ending like dreamed and leaped. 25. What is the standard American term for the British hair feature known as a fringe? Bangs is the American term for the hair cut straight across the forehead. The rest of the English-speaking world generally uses the word fringe. 26. An American uses a clothespin to hang wet laundry. What does a Brit use? Clothes peg or simply peg is the standard British term for the fastener used to hang clothes on a washing line. 27. In the UK, the punctuation mark at the end of a sentence is called a full stop. What is it in the US? Period is the American term for the punctuation mark indicating the end of a declarative sentence. A dot is used for websites and point is used for decimals in both dialects. 28. What is the American word for the rubber or plastic nipple given to a baby to soothe them, which the British call a dummy? Pacifier is the formal American term, though binky is a common slang word. A teether is specifically for chewing, and soother is more commonly used in Canadian English. 29. If a British recipe calls for coriander leaves, an American cook would go to the store and look for. In American English, cilantro refers to the green leaves of the plant, borrowed from Spanish, while coriander refers strictly to the seeds. In British English, the leaves are coriander, and the seeds are coriander seeds. 30. How is the word draft, referring to a current of cool air in a room, traditionally spelled in British English? Draft is the traditional British spelling, though it is still pronounced exactly like the American spelling draft. The American spelling system simplified this word in the 20th century.